Okay, when is the last time you used the protractor? Was it years ago? Or is it fourth grade? Fourth grade?
I don't remember how to do this.
Don't worry, we'll go over it. Okay. Alright. For those of you getting revved up to use the compass, it is next week. I hope you're practicing. Has anybody tried and you're just absolutely terrible at it? Great, good times. Next week's going to be great. Okay. You'll get used to it. And it's not like it's the most crucial part of the course. We do a couple things with it. Okay. It's not like going to make or break your entire course, but you will know how to use it. We'll get into that stuff next week. Okay. I'm actually going to go over from last week. Okay. If you could actually dig all the way back to your practice 1.3. Okay. I'm going to make a couple comments about the enrichment. I'm not going to talk about last night's. I think you probably found that very manageable. You will occasionally get a couple assignments in the textbook online. That's how you'll do it. You'll go to Clever. I'll remind you. Okay, but overall they looked pretty good. Okay. Last time I saw you where we did actual curriculum 1.3, you did a great job. Okay, some very obvious questions in terms of lengths of segments. Keep in mind when they use the italics, that's the length. So when they show this, that's actually telling you the length of segment AB. They're actually asking you to find it, not a trick question. You can just assume units otherwise, and it shouldn't be too bad. Reminder, measures are equal, segments are congruent. And congruent just means they have the same length. So GH and IK are congruent because they have the same length. But remember, we wouldn't actually write it like this because segments are congruent. This would say they're equal. I would have to say that they're congruent. You will get used to that as we go. Okay? Let's see which ones I want to talk about. The algebraic stuff I'm not worried about. Remember, if you're wondering how much algebra do I need for geometry, you need just enough to do things like this. Okay, so these questions I think you cruise through, should be fine. Okay, sometimes you can add segments together to get a longer one. Sometimes it's the midpoint, and if it's the midpoint, you end up saying them equal to each other because it divides it into half. Okay? Questions like this I really like. Okay, so if I'm skipping all the way to 18, if AD is 20 and AC is 3x plus 4, how do I know they're congruent? Okay, these two are congruent because of these tick marks, but they gave the length of the entire thing. So this matches this, and two of them make up the entire thing. Okay? Going back to that same diagram, probably seems like a long time ago, but you did a great job with it. If ED is 5y plus 6, that's this little piece, and DB is y plus 30, they are equal to each other. Therefore, I could just set them equal to each other and solve. None of the algebra will be super duper messy. So when I'm setting those equal to each other, if I get something gross and bad, I probably made a mistake. Okay? So good. Okay? This question I thought was interesting. I'm not sure if you remember doing it or not, but they have a slight overlap. So if I'm looking at this diagram, the whole thing is GK, which I can get by adding these together, but there's an overlap of X. So if I want the length of GK, I would add this plus this, but then what would I have to do? Subtract X, okay? And actually, if you do all of that, it just comes out to 5X, which I showed all of the simplified versions in there. Okay, otherwise it shouldn't have been too bad. Okay? Now, the enrichment, you don't need to get the enrichment out. I just want to show you a couple things. In general, do we feel like we're getting better with these kinds of drawings? Yeah. Worse? Maybe better. Maybe some of you the same. If you started out really, really good with them, maybe you're about the same. If you started out lost, you should be a little less lost now. Told you can get better at this stuff. Okay? Remember, it's still the hidden edges we really need to look out for, but hopefully now you're starting to see it. I'm looking at number 2. Number 2 has a hidden edge if I look at it from the right. Again, I would look and say, oh, where do they have it marked? There's clearly a hidden edge back there, because this is a separate figure, and then we're right there. Okay, number 3 shouldn't be too bad. Okay, usually people like to start with the top. Okay, and then the last section, now some people love this and some people hate it. Okay, the going from orthographic to isometric, I don't know what you did. I've had a lot of students tell me before they like to draw the top first. I don't know if anybody did that. They either like to draw the top first, or a lot of them like to draw the front, extend it to the right, and then decide if it's going up or not. There's not one right way to do it. It is a comfort thing. Okay, and that leads to the last ones. Did you eventually figure out what the 4, 3, 2, and 1 is? It's just how high it is. A lot of times people ask it, what does it mean? And then once you see, you're like, oh, duh, I get exactly what they want. Okay? So you have that. There's going to be a little bit more that you'll see in between now and then, but it sounds like in general we're trending in the right direction with the orthographic and isometric stuff. That is good. Because I told you, it's okay if the first day we did it, it looked really wild. It should look a little bit better now than it did. Okay? Cool. I want you to, let's see, do the entire front page of warm-ups as a group. Go ahead, that first page. Okay, starts here. Just go process of elimination. I'll bet you'll figure it out. But we'll talk about it in a minute. That's heavy. This one is heavy. Wow. Currently, Kennedy has the best protractor I've seen, but I don't know if anyone else. It's heavy duty. Yeah, it's Whole first page, include a couple at the bottom.
Why would my mom buy it?
Yeah, I also need the angle measures. If you can't read their numbers, use your own protractor, which we'll talk about how to do that. Canada's going to come back to this.
127. Okay, I think the first one's false.
Do we like the first one being 90 degrees is, right? Yeah. Hopefully. Anybody have a measure on the second one? Louis, do you have a measure on the second one?
35.
I also have 35 degrees, and that is acute. Now, Caleb asked, if you don't know what reflex is, it comes up in a moment, I would just go process elimination. The first two hopefully look okay. Yes? Benji, do you have a measure on the third one? I know the numbers are small.
127.
I also have 127 degrees. Nice job. That is obtuse. Okay? Conlon, what about the fourth one? What did you say for that one?
I have 320.
Does anybody else show of hands have 320? Good. Now, if I were you, first of all, let's talk about why it's 320. It's not this angle. What I actually did was, I actually measured that angle at 40, and then I subtracted from 360. That's what I did. Okay, because this little arrow shows that. If you haven't heard what a reflex angle is, process of elimination says, well, it's not acute, it's not obtuse, okay, and it's not right. But it does have a limit. I don't know if anybody knows the definition of reflex. Anybody know? It's got a range. No one wants to take a crack at it? Colin? It's got a limit, though. So 180, it's got to be at least 180, but it can't be 360. 360 is not an angle, it's a full way around the circle. Okay, that's a reflex angle. Okay, but out of process elimination. Okay, can you read the numbers on the page, or is it too small?
Yeah.
Well, you can use your own protractor, which will remind you how to do it. Okay, little true false. Okay, AB names array with endpoints A and B. True or false? It's actually, it doesn't even matter how they write it. You can't have two endpoints. Endpoints plural means it's not an array. That one's out. Okay, and you name array by its endpoint and another point on the array. That is true. Okay, nothing too crazy. Okay, And then when we're looking at the bottom here, name the rays that form each angle. It's not a trick. You just need to make sure you write these properly. If something like this pops up on Friday on your test, it's not trying to trick you. Okay, so what are my rays here? B, A, but how do I have to write it like this? What's the other one?
B, C,
In that order, and then we're here, and then this one is what?
A, B,
And then,
A, C.
okay. The most important thing is the vertex. This is actually where we really need rays. Rays are really crucial for making the angles. You're so used to them, but you probably don't think of them as two different rays. Okay, good. The rays are the sides of the angle. The end point is the vertex. You're going to see a couple things today. You're going to see angle ABC. You're also going to see this little M in front. What is that M standing for? Good, measure. I know you did some of this notation last year with Miss Galbraith. However, we kind of rushed it because it's just stuff that pops up on the PSSA. Now you're actually going to spend a little time on it. Okay? So looking at the next page, there are your definitions of acute, right, obtuse, and straight. An acute angle is anything in between 0 and 90, but it can't be 0, it can't be 90. They're straight. Okay? There is an obtuse angle. 180 is an absolute straight angle, and a reflex is anything greater than 180, but it has to be under 360 because then that's a full rotation. How do they show the full rotation? They typically put a little arrow in there so you can tell. Okay? You probably learned this last year, as I know that you did, but still. There's a couple of ways to name this angle. Tell me one way you can name this angle. Okay? Cece. Because there's one vertex here, then we're good. Let's see, Catherine, how else could I name this angle? There's 4 ways, fun fact. She says angle WXR. Jasmine, another way. In that order, RXW, and everybody tell me what's the last way.
1.
Yeah, that's only if they give it to you, okay? Again, if I show you one of those on Friday, you should feel like, really, this counts? Yes, 4 ways to label it, but the order does matter. Okay, notice the vertex is always chilling in the middle for these. WXR, RXW. I can only do this because there's only one angle. I can only do this because they gave me one. Why do names matter? If I just said angle B, right now is 70 degrees, that doesn't help me. Because what's going on at B? There's actually how many? There's 4 angles? Okay, I would need to say ABC. Because angle B could also be what? CBD? Etc. Okay? Now, this is not on your page. This is just up at the board. I want you to talk with anybody around you. Do you know any other angle measures based on what you did last year? Go ahead, discuss. You learned a good bit of this. All right, anybody want to come up to the board and fill in an angle that you feel real good about? You feel so good about it. So good. Sawyer, come on. Come on. Any angle on the board that you feel so good about. You would empty your DraftKings account for it. Well, he claims that is 70 degrees. Thumb up if we like it, thumb down if we don't. Does anybody remember what those angles were? Oh, you learned it last year. It was there. Look at that vertical angle. She taught you vertical angles, okay? If this is 70 degrees, they meet at this intersection. While not marked, this is also 70 degrees. I like it. Does anybody have another one they want to come up and fill in? Okay, Lynn. Ooh, she says 110. Survey says?
Correct.
Yes. Okay. Now, I would push back on one thing. This is just me being picky, but I'm allowed to be picky sometimes. If these are marked with 1 arc, I can't put 1 here because that means they're all the same. So guess what I'm going to do? We'll put 2. How do we know it's 1? How do you know it's 110?
Because it's a straight line on the.
Okay. The more you remember from last year, the easier today will go. And I think today will go well for you. There's actually 2 straight lines. But if I look at this one, these 2 angles together make 180. Okay, because all straight lines are 180. So I can actually fill another 110 in. It's actually right here. Okay? Good. Anybody know what the bottom's going to be? Just want to tell me? Bottom? Benji? They're all going to be 90. If that's 90, this is 90 because it's straight. Therefore, 90, 90. Now, before we go on, not to go too far back into last year, I thought these inside angles were supposed to be the same. Cora.
That only works when the lines are
Oh
parallel.
my gosh, she did such a good job with you last year. Nice job. It only works when these lines are parallel. Okay, cool. That stuff will all come back. Last year we just did it really quickly. Now it's actually part of your course, okay, which is cool. Okay, so cross out the ray that is not a side of angle KML. So we are KML. So that would also be angle 2. So MK, that's part of it, maybe. MJ, is that part of it? Nah, it's out. ML also is. And then all the possible names for angle KML. You're going to say yay if it could name it, nay if it couldn't. Okay, so we're not going to circle it. Yay. Yay. That's not a way to say yay. JKL is like not even a thing, is it? Nothing. Yay or nay? I actually can't tell what that is. Nay. K and J. Your yays and nays are bad. Is that a yay? Angle M. No, because it could be a couple things. Okay, cool. All right, so a couple quick things. Okay, again, the vocab today is not too taxing. The interior of an angle is the region containing all the points in between the two sides of the angle. Fancy definition, however, if I asked you with no information, where's the interior of the angle, I would hope you would say this part. And this is the exterior. The exterior of an angle is the region containing all the points outside of the angle. Now we get to see who remembers how to use the protractor and who does not. Okay, so I want you to use a protractor with no information from me and find the measure of angle CAT, C-A-T. And then we'll talk about how you did it and we'll see who remembers what they're doing and who doesn't.
Thing's too big. Yeah, there's a way to fix it. It is nowhere near. I can't tell who my protractor is.
Okay, now, is anybody here a little bit like, geez, 4th grade me would have crushed this, and right now I'm like not 100% sure. Anybody like that? Okay, so you all have this very confidently. So how about I'll say 3, 2, 1. We're all going to yell at our angle measure. See if we all say the same number. 3, 2, 1.
Which angle?
Which angle? There's only one. Angle CAT. Angle CAT. Okay? Well, friendly reminder about how to use the actually, somebody tell me how to use the protractor. Tell us how to use the protractor step by step. Sawyer.
You put like a little dot on the edge of the like
The little dot.
or the circle in the protractor.
Okay. So you put it where?
On the angle.
I don't remember how. Okay, rotate like this.
And then you line the black line up with the bottom.
Which
line of it.
all protractors are a little different. Most of them have a little gap at the bottom, do they not? So you gotta make sure you line up the black line, which is straight, down the bottom because you might miss a measurement. Okay.
And then
That's it.
you see where the
I see where the angle
angle is.
is. Okay. And then kind of go from there. Now, when I slide this over, I need to read it from either side. So there's 2 ways I could read from here, okay? That does 360. I can't remember how this thing, oh, it's over here, okay. So there's always 2 sides to every protractor, okay? You can read either one. One is not any more correct than the other. What a lot of students have told me that they like to do is they like to lay this out and then kind of trace on their own protractor from there. Or the other thing you could do is you could mark here, which I think would be a good idea, and then you could connect it and see from there. What's the other way I could do it? If I don't want to read from this side, where could I read from? Here. And what do you notice about all of these different pairs as you go around the protractor? 180. So I could do 180 minus that and then spit out my angle. Okay? Looks to me like it says, now that's 48, but that wouldn't be this part. That would actually be this angle. This guy, I have it slightly bigger than 130. I did 132. I got it at 132 if you line that up very carefully. That's the way I'm looking at it. Yeah, I lengthen the line quite a bit. So what I like to do is I like to lay it here, do that, and then I mark it, and then I kind of get a better measure off of it. What a lot of students will do sometimes is if they really want to go next level, they'll take a straight edge, lay it here, and then connect from there. But you can do either side. You can go from the short side and subtract from 180, or you can take the long side if you read it properly. Okay? Let's talk about the protractor postulate. This isn't so much anything you need to know, okay, but it is like something in the book. Consider OB, which is a ray, and a point A on one side. Every ray of the form OA can be paired with a real number from 0 to 180. So what they're telling you is, if I have a protractor laid flat here, any ray I draw can be paired with any number from 0 to 180. So here, I could pair it with, I could pair it with two numbers. Okay, the two numbers I could pair it with, you can just recycle that. I could either pair it with this obtuse number coming from this direction or the acute angle from this direction. And I can use whichever one I want. Now that doesn't mean the angle has two measures. It just means I can pair it with either one and then use whatever I see as fit. Okay, here's what you're going to run into in a minute. What if you can't actually lay it flat on there and you need to find a difference in between? You can actually subtract. Okay, this one I think you do need to fill in. The measure of angle COD, that is angle COD. Take a look at this protractor. They're telling you can find this using subtraction. Okay, the angle COD is the absolute value of the difference of this ray with that ray. Basically, I need you to jot this down next to that. Absolute value C minus D. So if I needed to find the measure of this angle COD, I could find both of them. So what would this angle D be? It looks like they paired it here. And if I use the big side, what would that be? Is that like, let's just call it 145. It's like close, but still. And they're calling this angle right here, what do you think? 145. Now I wouldn't use them both as 145. I could use the big side with one, I could use the short side with the other, I could subtract, and then I could find. Because 145 also pairs with what, 35? And this pairs with 35. What? What is 135? I didn't think they were the same. So if we're calling that 135, 135 pairs with 45. There it is. If I wanted to find the measure of this angle, I could pick them and I could subtract, and then I would get an angle in between that would work. Okay? I didn't give you one like that, but that is actually a way that you can use the protractor. So I could find this big angle and this small one, subtract, and get that big one. Okay? Hopefully that logic makes sense. Doing it is not hard. Seeing it like this, the absolute value just tells you can go from either direction. Okay? So you have a couple of angles in there. Okay, I want you to see if you can find all three of them. Angle BXE, DXE, and BXD. This is scratch paper. Get comfortable with it. You shouldn't have to measure these with your protractor. Correct. You should not be using the protractor for this.
What CX?
Yeah. You know about
Now you're not going to have to subtract for all of them. Some of them is just reading the protractor, and some of them is actual subtraction. Anybody have BXE? You like BXE? Ava, do you like BXE? What do you got?
145.
Do we like 145 maybe? Hello? Yay, nay? I do too. Make sure you do though. Measure of angle BXE. They want angle measures. I need M. Remember, notation will get some of you. It would be a shame to write down 145 and me having to take off every time because you didn't write M angle BXE. This is your chance to practice, okay? Let's see, DXE. I don't think you have to subtract for that one either. Yeah, the first couple you don't need to. DXE is right here. Little acute angle. Okay, Cole, what'd you think for that one?
For DXE,
DXE.
I got 35.
You like 35?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay. And then CXD, same thing. There's a couple ways you could get it. Okay, but first let's get an answer. Let's go, Ronan.
55 years.
How we feel about CXD being 55? Good. Okay. Did you subtract for that one?
Oh, yeah.
I would too. What's this, 90? There's the same 35. You subtract. There's your 55. Okay, and then Sari, how about BXD?
37,
I like that. We succeed and fail together. 110. You can subtract those two measures. I think this guy's sitting at 145. I think this guy's sitting at 35. Therefore, the difference. So the wording, if I read this to you again, or this, you'd be like, what are they talking about? They're just basically telling you you can subtract on a protractor, and you can line up any spot on a protractor with an acute or obtuse angle. But basically, as long as you know how to use it, you're going to be fine. Okay? A couple more things. Okay, then I'm going to let you work on a few things on your own. Okay, congruent angles are angles with the same measure. I know we did this last week, but we only say congruent segments. Please fill in that definition. Congruent angles are angles with the same measure. And how we mark them is kind of important. So angle, I'm going to do QOW. Sarah, who is angle? That's a bad congruent symbol. Who is angle QOW congruent to? That looks better. Angle toy. I was hoping they would do angle toy. Because they have these marks here, TOI. Good. Okay, and then again, this is kind of when Elena came up earlier. I just wanted to adjust it. If EOR, kind of, right? Okay, whatever. Nothing. Is equal to angle rot. You gotta name the angles. That's fine, but why do they need two tick marks? I'm saying this is congruent to that, but this is not necessarily congruent to that. That's why they need two tick marks, okay, or two little angle marks, okay, which is cool. Okay, the last postulate, which isn't too bad, then I'm gonna let you work on all the others in the group because there's a lot of talking, is the angle addition postulate. There was a segment addition postulate. The angle addition postulate should work as well. If point B is in the interior of AOC, then it would look like this. I'm going to actually ask you to draw a diagram here. Then the measure of angle AOB, which is this guy, plus the measure of angle BOC, I don't know if anybody knows what this is going to be equal to. the measure of angle AOC. Good. Oh, is it written for you? Yeah, it is, okay. I'd like for you to fill in the diagram. Drawing the diagram would be helpful. So angle AOB plus angle BOC would give me the angle of the entire thing. Now, if I gave you a problem without the postulates, you could probably figure it out. But one of the bases of geometry is you have to state things that you believe to already be true. Okay, the last one before I let you work on those. If angle AOC is a straight angle, and it looks like this, and angle AOB plus BOC, what's that always going to give you? You should know this already. I heard it. 180. Does anybody remember the fancy name you learned with Miss G last year? You learned a fancy name for angles that add up to 180. Do you remember it? Huh? Supplementary. Very nice. That will come back soon. Don't worry. Okay, supplementary. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. Those are filled in. There are 3 problems. I want you to work on those 3 problems with the partner or the small group. Please find all parts. Okay, it says find the measure of each angle and the value of each variable. There's 3 of them. I just want to see what you do with them. So go ahead, work on those 3. Work on those 3. Little algebraic stuff. I'm still starring. I don't think you should have. Everything on here is very clean. Everything on here is very clean. So if you get messy stuff, probably not really anything properly.
Oh, you're right. I'm pretty sure it's 135 minus 2.
Oh, wait, you're right.
I know you're right. You're right.
Kept me out from geometry problems.
Alright. You can recycle that. Do that. The first one is not a straight line. If you think that's a straight line, you gotta read carefully. TSW is reflex. Or RSW, sorry. RSW is reflex. Good. RSW is reflex.
I understand what
You can make it equal to 180.
I'm trying to find things higher than big.
Oh, okay.
What is that? So I just had to
Oh, you put it on this side.
yeah.
Did you add all 3 of them up to 360?
Yeah. And I was trying to find
Ah, okay.
they're not square. And I was
No, protractor on the ground.
no.
This is hard to pick
It's
up.
gonna be impossible to get up.
Who's meowing?
Use a pencil. What?
It works. Can I show the first one or is it too soon? I'll just show bits and pieces.
What the heck? Oh, and that's what I was doing. They have to add up to the third one.
I get it, Ellie.
That's what I wrote to start.
Ellie, aren't you proud of me? I get it. I actually
really good by trying to because you add the two angles. What's your other
If you're struggling with the first one, I drew some markings on it that might help. It's not a straight line. And based on what Cole told me, did anybody put the 6x plus 22 over here? Sounds like you did. Anybody else do that? RSW. So the whole thing is 6x plus 22. These little pieces, you just have to add the two small pieces to be equal to that. Once you do that, the algebra is not hard. Bada bing, bada boom. Anybody get x to be 27? Okay. But don't forget, you also need to find the measure of each angle. Getting x to be 27 and stopping isn't going to cut it. Okay? Here's your answers. Please ask about that one if you're not sure. But essentially, the way I have it marked should help. If this angle's 2x plus 3, and this angle's 5x minus 8, and the whole thing is 6x plus 22, red plus green equals blue. Okay, I'll leave that up. You can keep working there too. Just be careful. Those are fun though. The ones where you do the whole thing for 360. I love those.
What's 16 times 4? It's 64, right? Yeah. He just tried to bring us wrong by saying it's 52.
He's working at a whole nother level. Don't worry, we're trying to get there. Can I take the first one off the board, or do we need to see it still? All right. You'll notice this one goes better because they filled in the diagram for you, which I'll talk about in a minute. That's what I'm worried about. Alaska area.
No, like where they are on the map.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I know where Tennessee is. I know Wyoming.
This one. Let's see. Ryan. Hey, the second one. What equation am I writing for this one? This one's a little bit more straightforward.
4x.
Ryan.
4x minus 2 equals 3x plus 22.
Okay, now I want to talk about why this one's easier. Number one, there's less information, so it's a little bit more straightforward. How do I know they're congruent? These little marks. I set them equal to each other. I go here. I got x equals 16. Each of them ends up being 62. However, I'd like to point something out to you before you really dig into the last one. Do you know what I did that helped me on the first one? I filled this stuff in. It's amazing how many of you were like, this is easier. I don't need to pay attention, and the test is different. I filled in the 5x minus 8, the 2x plus 3 in this, and I had no problem with it. So I would strongly encourage you to fill information in on a diagram if it's not there for you already. Okay, take a couple minutes, finish up the last one. Okay, last one shouldn't be too bad, by the way. I gave you ones just like that last week. I already think that is clear. Remember, when you're doing angles, you follow that in that order. Not following it. It says reflex angle. Okay, reflex angle, R.
Oh, what is going on?
S.
Maybe I'm just stupid. One second. And then that would be 5 left over. Maybe 52.
For football. And let's see, Moxley, what equation, you should be good with the last one. By the way, we gave you ones just like this last year, this last one. What equation can I write for this?
11x minus 12 plus 2x plus 10 equals
Again, I know it sounds ridiculous. Labeling these on the diagram makes all the difference in the world. The algebra, I'm not going to reteach you the algebra, especially this group. X is 14. One angle is 142. One angle is 38. Last comment. If they don't give you a diagram, you might want to think about drawing it because it helps a lot so that you don't confuse where things are. Okay? Any questions about any of this? Last comment, you don't get a calculator on Friday. Therefore, the numbers are going to be clean. If your numbers are gross, you made a mistake. Okay? I know you don't get one Friday, so these ones should be clean. Okay, go ahead, get a jump on this thing right here. You're doing a good job with submissions, but some of you are still forgetting a little bit. I believe you do need the protractor. I can't remember. Yeah, you do.